Welcome to the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans. Carl Coulanges, joined by some very special guests via Zoom. We're doing it social distancing, trying to bring you guys some entertainment. I have with me the reigning, defending MVP, Mr. Paul Lawson, in the building. Paul.
How's it going, people? You know, it's nothing like being a legend, baby. Being an MVP is everything to me. So,
well, we have another guy who claims that he should have won the MVP, and he's still trying to get rid of me as the admin of the Sports Hit List. We have Mr. Paul Ekezie, Miss African Miss Cleo. Is that what you go by? Because I forget every time it changes.
I'm the COVID Miss Cleo right now.
The COVID Miss Cleo, and we have Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Words podcast, my arch nemesis for years and years, of pain in my ass. But he's here. I have to have him on this. So, Marcus, how you doing over there in D.C., man?
I'm good, man. I heard Paul call himself the COVID Miss Cleo. Quite frankly, somebody's got to play the heel on this show. I don't give a damn if he's 100% or 80%. He's still going to get these work.
Well, Paul, in talking about COVID, it sounds like you're not feeling too well, and I know you've been posting in the group. Is everything okay with you and your family?
Well, my dad's in the hospital with it. And I think he gave it to me. I've already lost almost 20 pounds since last week. It's tough to breathe, but you know, my sister and my mom are taking care of me. I just self-quarantine, try not to get anybody else sick. I don't go out, so just trying to recover.
Well, definitely my thoughts and prayers are with your family, and I know everyone is going through. And I hope you feel better real soon, because you not in the hit list and not making your live videos, I know I'm missing the entertainment. So we definitely wish you well.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the group have among COVID within family members? And are you guys, everyone's okay?
Yeah, my cousin's boyfriend who works for NYPD has it. So thoughts and prayers to them, as well as all the first responders, people who work in hospitals, nurses, people who take care of sick people. Prayers out to everybody. Just definitely be cautious out here, and just try and take care of yourselves as much as possible. And I hope you get well soon, Paul.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
MVP, everything all right at home?
Everything is good, man. My thoughts and prayers go out to everybody. Obviously, the Medicare teams, people on the front line, first responders, but also the people at home, man, because this is a real testament of making sure that we're balanced with mental health. And it's been quite a bit of suicides and domestic issues going on globally. So it's everybody just stay safe, man. Find ways to entertain yourself. And African P, man, feel better, bro. Feel better, bro.
Appreciate it.
Well, that's part of our job today is I know the group is staggering lately with content, and we've been seeing the most outrageous posts, which drive me nuts. And I know everyone's kind of like, what's going on? It's a matter of there's no sports to talk about, so everyone's trying to find a narrative. I know last night there was a narrative of which announcer do you get rid of? But in today's platform, I just wanted to have the conversation about using the word if. Now, you gentlemen know how I feel about that word if. I hate it, but given our circumstances, it's what I'm living on right now. And I wanted to talk about the NBA season as to where do we stand? And as from a fan perspective, I know you guys are missing it. We were in the midst of a season looking forward to the playoffs. It was going to be the Battle of LA. Was Milwaukee going to come out the East? Who's coming out the Eastern Conference? How are you guys feeling about potentially the season? Like, does the season even come back at this point? Do you how much longer do you wait out? What are your thoughts? Let me start with the MVP. MVP gets first dibs. Sorry.
Yeah, it's obviously unprecedented times, I think, everywhere, in every profession, whether you're a fan or a person who goes to work every day. I will say this. I'm hoping that the NBA does return. I do understand the complexities of potentially launching the season straight into the playoffs. It's a really – I think about all the teams that was on the cusp of getting into the postseason, teams jockeying for position, and so on and so forth. So I do think it would be very, very complex to just start the season back as the playoffs. I do understand the calendar perspective, but it's going to be a challenge. But the bigger nightmare is arenas, travel, etc. Those things. I don't even know how you can figure that out for 32 teams that share arenas, arenas that also had other things booked, events, tours, etc. It's a long shot, but my hope and my prayer is that come May 1st, which, I think the government order here in New York is August 29th, but come May 1st, we do have some good news on the table. It would be the world's greatest distraction. Similar to when the Yankees were able to resume the World Series and following the 9/11 attacks, etc. It would be the world's greatest distraction for sure.
Marcus, what do you think, man?
Well, just to touch on you saying that we've been seeing some outlandish, ridiculous content, I want to first start by calling out Wilson Esco Ramirez, who I believe is friends with Ray Jarvis. He said that Tracy McGrady was better than LeBron, which clearly.
When was that post? Was that last night?
No, this was today, sir. This was today around 12-something Eastern time.
I didn't see it yet. I didn't see that yet.
Let me write Eddie, because I'm sure he's all over that post.
Oh, please don't get me started on him. Let's not even go there, please.
Eddie definitely made an appearance, but I'm not gonna lie. Sports is not just a form of entertainment. For some of us, this is our livelihood.
I agree.
Absolutely. 100.
Every time someone says, "Oh wow, it's like day 789,000 in quarantine," I remember when the NBA was forced. The last NBA game we saw was March 11th. That's how I view these quarantine days. Like I'm thinking about when was the last time we actually saw live NBA action, and it's been rough, man. I would be extremely disappointed if there was no NBA season for several reasons. And those three reasons are LeBron, Raymond, James. The Lakers had the best record in the Western Conference. And I said from the moment that they acquired Anthony Davis that they would win the championship this year. This was before the Clippers got Kawhi and Paul George, a.k.a. George Paul. Now, if the season doesn't resume, I feel like my client, a.k.a. LeBron, would have missed out on a golden opportunity to secure his fourth championship and enhance his legacy. So, yes, I would be pissed. That might be the fanboy in me, but I'm just being honest. We've been seeing a lot of great basketball from the Lakers, and I was looking forward to seeing a 7-game series between the Lakers and Clippers.
All right. Miss Cleo, what are your thoughts about the season? Do you think, can we still save the season? Like, what's your perspective? And I know we all miss basketball, but can the season still be saved?
Honestly, I don't think it should be saved because of the time that's lost. You got to remember the NBA has one of the shortest off seasons in between all the sports, and by them extending or removing back-to-backs and 4 games in 5, the season starts earlier. So the last day of the NBA Finals is in June. Then immediately you have Summer League, then you have the preseason, and then you have the NBA season.
Not to mention free agency too.
Exactly. And although we're missing out on the battle of the 8th seed between New Orleans and Memphis, and based on the scheduling, New Orleans had the easier track to get the 8th seed, and then you have in the East, the battle for the 7th seed between Orlando and Brooklyn, because nobody wants to play the Bucks in the first round. I think for the sake of speeding up the whole process, you have to end the season now. And then in the playoffs, you have to do either a best of 3 or, one and done. I think that's the only way. One, it makes it, you kind of bring a March Madness feel to it and makes the season go quicker. And, it's more exciting that way. Although it's, playoffs is all about money, we have to kind of push the season faster than possible in order for us to, catch up. And I honestly don't think that, the season is going to start in time. I think the next season is going to start around Christmas, to be honest, because I don't see how they play any sports until maybe June, July.
Okay. Well, a few questions here in terms of.
Before we move on, I just wanted to touch on a point that Paul made. Here's what I will say about the off seasons and everything else. The NBA probably has one of the longest running postseasons, and it's not necessarily because the complications of the postseason schedule. They do a really poor job, I think, of dragging out the NBA playoffs in the first couple of rounds, right? You go days where there's 2 teams play with 7 teams off, and then the next day they jump everything on a Saturday. If all we're talking is 1 seeds don't have an additional 3 days rest in the first 2 rounds, we're literally shortening that by a 2-week span in the course of the NBA postseason. More teams would be on television. I think the timing of games would be expanded, right? Because it would be the only live television actually going on from a sports perspective. There's no golf on Sundays to compete with. There's no NFL draft that'll be taken over the television. That'll be a virtual thing. There's no baseball, right, as we know of. I know they're talking about centralizing the sport in Arizona potentially in May. So the NBA could truly run an NCAA-like schedule, right, where we can compress games 4 or 5 times in a day, and not have this go on until the end of June if it were to start
right.
on
time. But then here's my thing too is when you start getting into September, you're looking at a football season. Do you want to really go into September with the NBA? And then you also have baseball season too for the summertime. You know, I get it. People don't watch baseball over the summer. They would rather watch the NBA, but you're still like competing with like ESPN now has to figure out their schedule. There's no, what are you going to do? No more Sunday night baseball because you have basketball games. So now they're conflicted in terms of
maybe. Keep in mind, NBA runs ESPN. ESPN has ESPN2. They have ESPN XYZ. There's a multitude of different entities that we can use, right? Just like the Turner networks have been running with True TV, etc. You'll have Channel 7 involved, which is also owned by the Disney conglomerate. I don't think the television aspect of figuring out how to schedule these games would be the challenge. I do understand that, the loss of Summer League or the shortened version of Summer League is possible. I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of our star rookies don't even play in Summer League, right?
Yeah, true.
So it's certainly not something that if it was something to compromise, Summer League wouldn't take a massive hit. And I think the free agency is another one of those long, drawn-out things where a lot of the activity happens in the first 72 hours. And can easily be suppressed from a 30-day event to a 14-day event if they need it.
Yeah.
Hey, Carl, let me answer your question really quickly, Carl. Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
You have religiously accused me of favoring superstars. You accuse me of not liking role players, which there is some truth to that. To be honest, I don't really give a damn about watching the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks sweep the Orlando Magic.
True.
I will say I disagree with African Paul, because I'm not interested in seeing a 1-game playoff in any situation because in today's NBA, if a team gets hot or cold from 3, it is lights out. And I really don't want to see someone upset a team like the Houston Rockets or the Milwaukee Bucks just because they're cold from 3 that night. And in addition to that, I also want to say I think a bit is made much of us, the NBA, going into September. September is not very good football. Like, if you give me the choice between watching Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers take on the Minnesota Vikings Sunday Night Football or me watching LeBron take on Kawhi Leonard, even the most hardcore football fans will tell you I'm watching LeBron versus Kawhi. Like,
correct. But you know what? Here's the difference, though. America's sport is not basketball. We always have to remember that. People crave for football season. So, and we always say this, and you know what? We always say this as a culture. We're like, well, the NBA doesn't pick up until Christmas, so we have football. So now you're going to move, like, do you really think the NBA in the playoffs would be able to compete with an NFL game? People crave for that.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second, Carl. I always say this, usually around March Madness, and even previously than that. One of the greatest joys is when we have all 3 sports on at the same time, right? It happens for a very slim period of time, but we get a chance to see all of them in action, right? It's usually the World Series time where we got October baseball, which we know is, as my man Greg would tell you, is an amazing thing, right?
Don't say Greg in front of Paul. Right? You don't get
you got the NBA in action, right? And then you got the NFL starting to shape its form. Usually by week 5 or week 6, we know who the real dominant teams are. I don't think anybody would have a hard time juggling. I mean, Sundays dominate for the NFL, right? We see that with the red zone numbers and how they stream. But there's a lot of opportunity the other 5 days out of the week outside of Monday night and Sunday night football. Yeah.
Okay, so let me address this real quick. Marcus said that it wouldn't be fair to LeBron. He felt like LeBron would be out of a chance to win a championship.
I agree.
What about the other teams, Miss Cleo? What about the Clippers, your Kawhi Clippers? It's not just about the Lakers, or is it? What about the Clippers opportunity? What about the Rockets opportunity to prove that Westbrook is the answer? What about the Eastern Conference in Milwaukee? Is it just about LeBron losing out on a championship, or can we say it's the entire league and the contenders?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've not been impressed with Budenholzer. I think the dude is a fraud come playoff time, and I think he doesn't get the criticism that other coaches like Mike D'Antoni gets. This is a guy who had the Atlanta Hawks as a #1 seed, and he choked in the Eastern Conference Finals. A guy who was up 2 against.
Wait, he choked.
He didn't choke.
Who did he play against, Paul? Who did he play against?
Now, of course, LeBron and Kyrie.
So how is that choking? They weren't favored to win that series.
I'm sorry, but that dude is not. He's not a coach that I put my faith in.
All right. So Paul. Okay. So forget Milwaukee, but what about the Clippers? Don't you feel like the other teams get robbed too? Because again, Marcus has the narrative out there that the Lakers are getting robbed. So is that fair to the other teams in the league for us to say that?
I would say the Lakers are the favorites to win the championship if nothing happened. Of course, you know what Kawhi Leonard can do against LeBron, but I don't trust the rest of his teammates. I don't trust George Paul. I don't trust Patrick Beverley. I don't one of the other Morris twins. It could be one against five.
Marcus Morris.
Oh yeah. I don't trust them.
Okay.
I trust Kawhi, but then you can't win a basketball game 1-on-5.
And you trust Doc Rivers though? Don't you trust Doc?
Of course, Doc Rivers is a better coach than Frank Vogel, but I just feel like Kawhi can't do it by himself, and I gotta see Paul George do it in the playoffs.
Okay, all right. MVP. So is it all about the Lakers losing the championship, or do the other teams kind of lose out too?
The NBA has always been driven on the stars, and the Lakers have the biggest star in the sport. So without a doubt, yes, it's the Lakers, right? And I'll tell you this. As much as successful as the Lakers have been, America didn't predict them to be the #1 seed in the West. Whether it was Kawhi on the Clippers or not, they all had some sort of necessary hate for the guy that they hate the most in LeBron James, who carries the sport, right? But since then, all we've seen them do is have arguably one of the best turnaround seasons you've probably seen in the sport, right? LeBron, unfortunately, if this does get canceled, yes, this is a huge blow to his legacy.
Right.
We're talking about year 17, career numbers across the board, more wins, right? I mean, it's unprecedented for something like this to happen, right? And for that to get wiped clean, it's insane.
So let's talk about that. And you know what? That leads into my next question about if the NBA does get canceled this season, how does a player like LeBron and the Lakers handle that? Because last year he got hurt. So that's year 1 with the Lakers. This year, Corna Virus. So you're going into year 3 with the Lakers, and he's going to be a year older. Say the season does get canceled, can the top teams still be able to come back with what was lost and still be, contenders again? And mind you, Anthony Davis is a free agent too, which clearly I believe he'll resign. But I have to throw it out there. He is a free agent going into the summer. So
let me hop in.
If the season gets canceled.
So even though the Lakers, so this is why I'm really frustrated that the season could potentially be canceled. Does anyone remember the narrative heading into the season? Absolutely. Oh, LeBron's coming off a major injury. Oh, the Lakers got all of these older. Yeah. Oh, he's washed. They don't got no 3-point shooters. They don't have another playmaker, another ball handler. All of a sudden, they jump out to a 19-3 start. Okay, out of the 49 wins they have on this season, 23 of them have come by double digits. So it's not that they're like beating teams like by the skin of their teeth. They're smacking teams around. Check their record against teams that are over 500. And everyone likes to say, oh, well, the Lakers are only beating up on bad teams. Yes, that's the mark of a great team. You do 500 or better against good teams, and you destroy bad teams. Absolutely. So if LeBron is robbed of this chance to win a championship, I would be extremely disappointed. There are only 3 teams who have a legitimate shot at winning the championship this year. The Lakers, Bucks, and Clippers. I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but like you can call me Paul Heyman. This is not a prediction. This is a spoiler. The championship, if the season resumes, will be won by one of these 3 teams. The Lakers.
And I hate to cut you off, but I'm going to throw in my bias hat right here. All right, my team was in terms of right there too, and we know how to play really well when it comes to.
You have no one to stop Giannis.
Say it again. It's a team effort, my guy. It's a team effort. Listen, and Paul is looking at me because he's been saying that we're coming out the Eastern Conference. He's been saying this since day one. Okay.
Which Paul said that?
Paul Miss Cleo said that. He said that the Celtics have the best chance to come out of the East and beat the Bucks because we have.
Paul Miss Cleo says a lot.
He did say that. That's why he's shaking his head. He did say that.
African Paul, is this true?
African Paul says a lot.
He did say that. Yes, he did say that. He knows. Paul, back me up here.
He says a lot. All right.
Listen. There's no player who has taken a jump to superstardom faster than Jason Tatum this year. I've been really impressed with the way that the Celtics have played. That addition by subtraction by taking out Kyrie has seemed to really help them. The only problem is none of them can stay healthy at the same time. And maybe this break, you have all 5 of the starters and the bench players getting healthy at the same time. I think they can beat the Bucks in a 7-game series.
Paul, let me ask you this real quick.
And I don't.
Paul, let me ask you this real quick. So the Bucks would have home court advantage, theoretically speaking. The coaching difference between Budenholzer and Brad Stevens, some would consider it a wash. I would say that Mike Budenholzer is a slightly better coach. The Bucks have a better defense. The Bucks have better three-point shooting, and the Bucks have the best player on the court. So how in God's name would the Celtics beat the Bucks in a 7-game series? Please tell me.
I think you have to play them the same way that the Raptors played them. You put a wall around the paint, and you foul Giannis and make sure he makes his free throws. That's one of his weaknesses. You got to run out.
I'm with you on that, but where's the wall coming from? They don't have Gasol or Ibaka. You talking about Theis or Theis? Am I pronouncing his name properly?
Theis.
Is Theis supposed to be forming this wall? Like
Daniel Theis, bro. Daniel Theis.
Daniel Theis is barbecue chicken for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I can pronounce Giannis' name. He's barbecue chicken for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I don't know what to tell y'all.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a fan of Boston. I think Kemba's big time. I think Tatum has looked good. I think Jaylen Brown is still probably the kryptonite for that team because he wants to be the guy. I don't know if he still absorbs the idea of being a great role player. He wants to be the man, and you guys certainly paid him like he was the man in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I think the limited ability to defend in the paint, they will get killed by Boston. By Milwaukee. I would say Bucks in 5, maybe 6 because TD Garden.
So then nobody else in the East. So it's a clear cut the Bucks. So there's no.
Honestly, wait.
Yes.
I'm gonna throw another team at you in the East. I think
Miami.
No way. Miami's doesn't have a shot.
Okay.
Philly still has some intrigue for me. I think their coach holds them back. But we've seen a consistent effort and consistency with the way Embiid has been able to dominate the Milwaukee Bucks and also defend Giannis, which we know Milwaukee doesn't have an answer for Embiid.
Okay, so Philly is what you like Philly.
Yeah, I think their addition to Josh Richardson on the perimeter helps those guys. I think if Tobias Harris is shooting the basketball, they actually have the size, the length, and the depth to really challenge Milwaukee. And I think – yeah, obviously,
I agree.
We don't know what we're going to see.
Okay, so Paul, let me jump to you. You're shaking your head. No, Paul, Miss Cleo.
I disagree. I think there's an effort issue with Embiid. He turns it on and off, and it's very frustrating because he should dominate every single game. This is a guy who should be putting up 30 and 15 in today's NBA. And you see it a lot of times. He doesn't put the effort 100% of the time. Like Marcus said earlier, when not early in this podcast, but like he said earlier in the year, this is a guy who quit against the Nets last year by saying, "Oh, my stomach hurts. I can't play." In a playoff series, I have no faith in Joel Embiid and Simmons.
I don't have a faith in Simmons' shot. Thank you. Yeah, Simmons either. Simmons can't shoot in the clutch. He can't.
Overblown.
I'll give Simmons credit this.
I'm with Marcus on that. It's overblown.
What's overblown? The fact that he can't shoot?
Yes.
How?
But it doesn't matter.
That does matter because teams know it. But let me explain.
In the playoffs,
Teams know that he can't shoot, so they're going to force him to shoot, and they know he can't do it.
Here's the thing.
Who's your closer?
This is what I want you. Hey, Carl. This is what I want you to envision. Could you imagine if Ben Simmons was on a team like the Warriors or the Rockets where he was surrounded by nothing but three-point shooters? Would you be singing the same tune?
No, but he's not. That's the problem. Who's your closer? Who's going to close? Last year it was Jimmy Butler, right? Who's your closer on Philly?
The closer should be Joel Embiid. But like Paul said, you got people like me who are going to work 4 out of 7 days a week, braving these Corona streets. And Joel Embiid texts his coach the day of a playoff game at 6:30 in the morning talking about he had a tummy ache. He is 7'3", 280-something pounds, and he told his coach his status for the game was in question because of a tummy ache, something that Pepto-Bismol lysate, which is the proper clinical term for it, could cure.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's leave it at that. So my final question here, because we're running out short on time, is if you had to make a prediction when the season starts, when do you think the season will start? And do they just go straight into the playoffs? Do they have a couple of, I guess, preseason training camp? What's your ideal situation for the NBA moving forward? Let's start with Miss Cleo.
Well, first of all, before I answer that question, let me just say, Marcus, I'm so sorry because you're supposed to get your money. All right?
Oh.
Yo, still looking for this guy. APP.
Oh my God. Okay.
If you live in New York, matter of fact, you and Carl live in New York. Can y'all see if y'all can track him down? He's got to be at home.
Man, we still on this. We still going here. Okay. I can't believe you went there. All right. Can you get back to my question?
All right. I say the middle of June. Season starts in the middle of June. And maybe from the beginning of June to the middle of June, they do a little preseason, training, and then season starts June 15th. Resumes June 15th.
All right, Marcus, ideal situation.
I'm gonna go end of June. What I think they should do is, in order to hit that TV revenue, they should play the requisite number of games, which I believe they have to get to 70, and I think most teams have played about 63. This is what we need to do for the first round of the playoffs. Make it a best of 3 or best of 5. No one's interested in seeing Milwaukee sweep Orlando. We know it's going to happen. So spare us the agony of having to watch them play 4 times or 7 times, whatever it is, in 2 weeks, and just make this the first round shorter, and every round after that can be game 7 or whatever.
All right, Paul, MVP.
I'm going with a different tune. My prediction is mid-May. So let's say week 3 of May. Let me tell you why. The NBA has already began to explore rapid testing that can now produce results within minutes, which has already been used in some cities, obviously like in New York, with the use of a blood test. That means to me that they are already formalizing and mobilizing a plan to get players back in the same room. Their training camps can now be held within their own organizations. If everybody there tests positive and stays with the isolation parameters that are put in place in their respective cities, within their organizations, they can practice. They can get ready to go back to action. If they're able to do that, let's say by next week, which is very possible, that means they're able to practice for the next 2 to 3 weeks before they're ready to resume games. That also gives KPMG, who my wife is employed by, the opportunity to come up with every single algorithm possible to generate a new schedule for the remainder of whatever their new regular season will be. I do think 70 games is very manageable, but I will say, actually filling in the extra 12 is probably not impossible if they're not expanded with extra days off. The NBA in the recent years has been playing 2 to 3 times a week, when a sport like that used to play 4 to 5 times a week. After a month of hiatus, I think it's not unreasonable for Adam Silver and his crew to demand 4 to 5 games in a week if it can all make sense logistically.
Not for Kawhi. He's got him load managed. You know he can't do that. So
hey man,
African Paul. When we get back, if we do, I don't want to hear about no load management from your guy Kawhi.
Load management. Kawhi's gonna ask for 2 games, bro. He's gonna say only 2 games. He's not gonna play 4 games a week.
I want him playing back to back. I want him playing 47 minutes a night. I don't want to hear about load management.
Nope, he's got to load manage. The short season, he's got to load manage it.
James,
I'm saying we will have basketball by Mother's Day. That is my prediction.
All right, well, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. Say it again, Paul.
What about the fans? Do you think there are going to be any fans if the NBA resumes by May 15th? I think people are still scared. You know,
they don't need fans. The NBA is prepared to move without fans. Didn't you watch the WrestleMania? The NBA will move on without fans.
Shout out to Vince McMahon, by the way, for providing that, and shout out to those athletes because I respect the hell out of that entire organization.
I haven't watched wrestling in a decade, but I tuned into some of WrestleMania, and I was, it's a little funny to see Gronk jumping off the second deck and winning a belt randomly, but that's Vince McMahon at his finest.
Well, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for joining me. Hopefully we can do this again. Hopefully everyone is staying safe out there. Paul, you get well soon. Prayers to you, man. And again, thank you guys for joining me on the Sports Hit List Zoom edition. Please make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, all of our content on social media. And look out and start voting for Miss Cleo for MVP now in March or April, because I know he wants his votes. He wants his votes. He feels like he got robbed for 2019. I know he's campaigning for 2020. So,
did you even have any votes? You didn't even get
He did. He had a few of them. He had a couple votes.
He's off to a bad start because he keep disrespecting my guy Tom Brady, but it's cool.
Well, that's another Zoom we could do for another day. But the guys, thank you again.
No problem, man.
All right.
Be safe.